Hey, I'm Brian. Welcome to Hot Takes. Today we're going to look at an alcohol and drug addiction treatment center in the Dallas area. So I always have to lead off with some sort of a caveat because I don't have full access to all the internals and institutional knowledge of any of these businesses. So there's a lot I don't know, and some of the things I'm going to say are just going to miss. They're not going to make sense. And then beyond that, I guess while I think just about everybody, have known people who've struggled with alcohol and drug addiction issues. I don't have any personal knowledge of this industry. I've never booked a stay. I don't think I know anyone firsthand who stayed in one either. So take all this with the proverbial grain of salt, and hopefully still from just a UX conversion perspective, I've got something helpful to say along the way. So some assumptions here. Assuming that we're on mobile and that we're coming to this site from the Google Maps or Google My Business listing. And assumption, of course, that the ultimate goal is to get me to fill out a form, to become a lead, so that eventually, hopefully, I can book a stay at the facility because that is how they make money. So these are my assumptions, and I'm starting here from Google Maps. Let's take a look. And I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to make it mobile because I think this is going to open a new tab. Okay. Actually, we could probably assume that on my way, I've seen this content, at least some of it. So I'm not going to go too deep into it or take too many guesses, but let's imagine that part of my choice to click through involves noting this very prominent 4 stars with lots of reviews. That's really good, especially considering not everybody's going to leave a review on an addiction treatment center. So that, to the extent that I trust reviews, that's actually very compelling. The fact that it's not 5 stars makes me think it's not completely astroturfed. So nice. And then the other thing that I cannot help but notice on the way is just that it's a really beautiful, serene setting. So if I only look at this one photo, I see that peaceful fountain. If I go a little further, I'm going to see lots and lots of lush greenery. Okay, getting the idea. This looks nice. So I'm coming in with the understanding that I know where it is because I found it on a map. I get that it's got a lot of positive reviews, which, I may trust to some degree. I get that it looks really nice, which may or may not be important to me. More on that, I guess, as we go. But I've certainly noted that it's pretty. It's a beautiful place. And so I guess that's enough for me. I want to know more, and I'm going to click through. And let's make it mobile. Maybe needs a reload just in case. Okay, we're reloaded. And my first impression is I see pretty much nothing but text, I guess. And I wonder if some of this is here for SEO purposes and needs to remain, and maybe needs to remain as prominent as it is. But my very first knee-jerk reaction is like, I'm not reading all that. And I don't think many people will. I also saw, and I'm going to refresh to see if this reproduces. Yeah, the little sticky footer. I'm assuming it's sticky down there. And there's a little kind of vibration glow coming off of one of those CTAs. I actually am a huge fan of these sticky footers. In my experience, they almost always are better than not having one. And part of that is because they force you to decide, like, okay, what is the primary action? Or at maximum, the primary 3 actions that somebody can take on this site. And just that exercise is enough to melt brains for a lot of organizations. So as a user, I'm not sure if I would interact with this just yet. I would probably start scrolling and trying to get past okay, good, we got past the wall of text. Now we're to the map, but I just came from the map, so that's not useful. And so I'll probably start scrolling. But just out of curiosity, I want to get another glimpse at this because it was open on load and glowing. It glowed again, but then it disappeared automatically. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that maybe actually that interaction, that behavior is something that's already been tested and gets more engagement. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I wonder about it, though. I wonder if just leaving it open or having it pop up on, say, scroll when you make it 2/3 of the way down the page, to the extent that this little element, this sticky footer, is tied to conversion. People convert via the sticky footer versus what I assume are other buttons on the page and on the site. If it's important, and I'm assuming it is, I wonder if there are better ways to get attention with it. Because I think on immediate load, we've got the COVID-19 protocols. We've got technically a CTA up here with a phone number. And then we've got this navigation, and then we've got a headline and a bunch of text, and also this thing, which is more text, and then something's glowing, and it seems like it's a lot. And I wonder if once I was oriented and a little further into the content, maybe just a little further, if seeing this might mean more to me at that point. And I guess while we're on this sticky footer topic, I wonder about the fact that the CTAs are hidden in there, right? Like this is tappable, and it expands, and now I have buttons that I can tap. I can tap it again to collapse it, and I wonder if that's immediately obvious. I assume that's the reason why it was expanded on page load. But I guess a lot of these sticky footers are literally just buttons, right? There is no expand collapse. It's just 2 or 3 actions, or maybe just one action that you can take on the site, always there the whole time. And so I guess that's something I would try. I so far have no suggestions that I would call like, just go do this, I know I'm right, at all. But I think there's a lot of potential within the sticky footer to test out how it should be laid out, how it should behave, or if it should have behavior. I'm just not sold either way. So maybe we take out this get the help info and help you need. We take out this collapsey caret thing. And what if the sticky footer was just 2 buttons that were persistent? Would that see more engagement? I would be interested to find out. And then as far as what the buttons say, we'll get to that in a bit. But of course, that's important too. So we're back here at page load. I'm going to assume that people mostly don't dismiss this, because in my observations, people mostly don't dismiss things. It's maddening to watch, but that's how people tend to use websites. They just ignore it and lose that screen real estate. It's terrible. So yeah. Again, I don't even know if I'm going to read any of this, honestly. Like, I'm probably going to land and just start scrolling. But if I did skim it, I would see sober living. I'm starting to wonder about the terminology now. And I don't have any specific expertise in the space, but it seems like it's really important to get right. And one observation I'll make is there's a challenge here because we have alcohol and drug rehab, and presumably both, right? For any given visitor, you're struggling with alcohol or you're struggling with drugs, or both are a consideration. How different are those? If you're only struggling with alcohol, would you prefer to be spoken to directly about that? Does that make a difference? I'm not sure. I have to wonder. And I'm not sure what's possible here either. So we'll just keep going, but just calling that out as a challenge, right? How do we balance and speak to both, or I guess all 3 categories of potential visitors? The other thing, actually, while we're at it, another way to divide up visitors is I'm going to assume some people are here because they have a problem, they're seeking help. Some people are here because a loved one has a problem and is seeking help. And those, in my mind, are 2 very, very different use cases. You think if you had either person sitting across the table from you, how you would talk to them, I think would be pretty different. But we have to address both here. So like more on that in a bit as well, but just calling that out. And so in that sense, the fact that it's just very factual, this is treatment and sober living, it's almost advantageous, right? This heading, I think, does a pretty good job of just not dividing up the audience, right? Sober living applies no matter which problem you're solving. Sober living applies whether it's you or a loved one. So that's actually, I think that's pretty good. And I'm assuming that the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro is there for SEO purposes. Otherwise, considering I came from Google Maps, I don't really need to see that again, but it's okay. All right. Last thing as I skim this, and again, I probably wouldn't, but I'm noticing that Upscale and former Spa, this is really interesting, and I just don't know how important that is. So we'll just hang on to that for the moment and keep it in our minds that it is luxurious, it is beautiful. It may be at the higher end of a price range too, which I'm betting is on my mind. So that's something to note, that if that is important, well, you make me read this paragraph to know that it's luxurious. And, I saw the fountain on the Google Maps, and so I've got a clue here. But if we hypothesize that the luxury, the high quality, the comfort of the facility is a primary decision point, then maybe some sort of visual or some sort of bullet point benefits or something that just makes it really obvious that even if I'm just landing, skimming, absent-mindedly, half paying attention, that I'll still pick up the fact that, hey, luxury, this is a nice place, this is a pretty place, could be helpful. So the map there, seems fine. Like I said, I mean, I'm just going to scroll past it because I already know where it is, but not everybody does. All right. We've got this image. This image is really interesting to me. I just did an interview with somebody who on the acquisition side, on the social video ads side, shared this data point that they were trying to sell a product, some frozen fish subscription, to an audience, to customers that they knew were, for the most part, I guess boomers, right? Or middle-aged people, older people. Those are who's buying these subscription boxes. But through testing their video ads, they found that actually a young woman in her 20s, alone in a kitchen, is the ad that actually drove the most conversions. And I guess that tells us a couple things. One is, probably by default, a young woman in her 20s is the strongest image for almost anything you're selling. I guess that's just how our culture works. But then the other thing I think we could take from it is we don't know. We don't know. The most relevant, the most appropriate, the most compelling to us image, who knows if that's what works. So if there's room to test out imagery, that's something I would consider. And back to the question of where, too. Like, could we get an image above the fold and test those out and see which one drives more conversions? That would be great to do. And while we're talking about this, I want to pop over to not a competitor. I just did a Google search, and it thought I was in Atlanta, and so this is what came up. And there's not a whole lot to love about this page. So this is another facility, another treatment center in another location. It's really not great. Like, look what happens when I scroll. Like, I'm complaining about wall of text. What is this? And who is gonna read all this? Nobody. But back to the images here. I'm really, really curious about these images and how they might work. And it's an example of the variety of images we might consider. I wonder if I assume this is meant to be kind of an edgy, like this person looks like they might have a drug problem image. And I wonder how this flies. Does showing someone who looks more like the target patient, is that compelling or no? Or also does something like this maybe fail because I think it's pretty clearly a stock image, and so does it ring as inauthentic? Again, all stuff we just don't know. We could show a drug and alcohol image. My gut doesn't say that would really be the thing, but this site has it above the fold, so who knows? We could try to show, hey, here's what the actual patients look like, which maybe, back to this one, that may be what this is, and maybe that's what the patients actually look like. I'm not sure. But, we could go for a little, like, edgier look. I could see this performing really poorly, but it could be worth a try. And then while we're talking about images, I guess there's also images of the facility to kind of mirror those beautiful shots from the Google Maps listing. And then a couple other things we could talk about is, we could just show, like, what is the outcome that you want if you're considering this for yourself or a loved one. And in my mind, like, the moment that all this was worth it and you're glad you did it is leaving the facility. Maybe walking into a warm embrace of a family member or loved one. I wonder if there's an image like that kind of captures the success, like you've taken back your life, you're healthy. Something like that might also be worth kind of throwing in. So if we're talking about potentially testing imagery, possible to move it above the fold to break up this kind of like, whoa, wall of text experience on page load, and also hopefully get a read faster because more people will see the images. And those are some of the possibilities I would consider, I guess. So anyway, I've landed. I've ignored a lot of text. I'm scrolling. Your life is waiting for you. Okay, programs, amenities, reviews. I think it's probably good to have reviews on your site. And at the same time, I'm less likely to trust them when they're on your site because I figure you've curated them. That could just be me, though. So it's good that you're going to let me see them, though. So reviews, photos, tour, 90-day promise. Okay. That's kind of a complicated offer, though maybe it's because I'm unfamiliar with the space. And if we imagine somebody's shopping around, this might be a pretty common structure for a guarantee. It seems really powerful to have a guarantee. So if you complete 90 days... then if you have a relapse, You can come back for 30 days. And so what's interesting here is, in a way, I think this is the first moment we've got into talking around the topic of expense. Like, what does this cost? If you're going to give me 30 days free, now I'm thinking about, well, what did it cost for the 90 days? And what is the value of that 30 days? And is 30 days enough? So it almost raises as many questions as it answers. It's not a bad thing. But I don't know if it convinced me or just made me kind of feel anxious about the cost. And so that's something that probably think about how we can address questions about pricing without giving pricing, because I do assume we can't just give pricing here on this page. Reach out, call. All right. So I made it to the bottom of the page. And again, this guy's down here the whole time. So I don't know much about pricing. Maybe I should look closer at the questions. How much does it cost? Okay. Okay, so that might be as much of an answer as I can get. It's not much of an answer. And I guess I wonder if there's this paying for treatment here. I'm guessing that's going to be more about the details or the logistics of payment methods or payment plans or something. And I really I want to know how much it costs. And so since we can't answer that, I wonder if there's either a call to action belongs in here, possibly. It's something like, hey, well, I'll come back around to this idea, but the idea of we're going to give you a quote. You need to reach out. That's how this works. You'll find that it's the same anywhere else, so just deal with it. But hey, since you tap this and you want to know the cost, we get that it's on your mind, bam, right here, we'll get you the price. We'll tell you what's up. So as I go further through the process, we'll see what that looks like. But I do wonder, depending on how many people make it this far on the page and how many people tap this question, which might be inconsequential, but if it's a good chunk of people, maybe this is an opportunity for a little call to action that just kind of honors the question. That says, hey, sorry, I can't tell you, but tap here and we'll get you personalized treatment plan and quote. So I've made it down the page. I don't really think I know too much about what to expect, actually. So I probably need to tap through one of these to find out more, and that's okay. I've seen the reviews again, but I already had access to those on Google. The 90-day promise, I'm not sure what to make of it. Take the next step, verify your insurance. So at this point, maybe I've now seen kind of 3 mentions of insurance. And this, me personally trying to do this audit, I don't know if this is the right moment to talk about that or not. I wonder about the visitor who Googled something, went to maps or local results, saw the listing, said, this looks maybe like it could be a good one, I don't know, tapped and went to the website, and now I'm here. Am I thinking about verifying insurance as a step that I want to take? Clearly, it's a necessary step, or necessary for most visitors. It has to happen. But is that the call to action that I want to follow as a visitor? And I wonder about that. So just moving on for now, but I'll have some ideas for calls to actions in a bit. Calls to action. Okay. I almost feel like I have to tap this what we offer because it's just glowing at me, although I don't know if it's what I want, but let's just do it. All right. So, okay. This is interesting that the CTAs shift there. Once again, I wonder about that collapse. I guess I just tap it again and it's back, but I was just trying to take this in, right? Like what? Okay, do I want to check my insurance? Okay, do I want to call? I'm not sure. So again, the question of the sticky footer behavior and priority, I'm not sure. All right, so I tapped what we offer, and this is about the program. Okay. And so actually that may be splitting hairs here, but the program, as in this website, this page, this offering is about a singular program. Seems important and maybe almost like a branding opportunity. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's a facility. It's a single facility. I get that. But is this a single program, and is it different? Is it special? Assuming that I'm not going to convert on this session, but I'm gaining some information, can I come away from it being like, yeah, Greenhouse has the blah, blah, blah program? something that explains to me that sticks in my brain about what this is. Let's see. Oh, so now it's programs. About the program, programs. So that could be clarified, I guess. And hopefully I'll get there by the end of this session. Like what all programs, and do I, as the visitor, need to know which program I want? So numerous treatment programs. Okay. So yeah, I'm just not sure. Services and treatment. All right. I think this little element it's a little confusing to me because it looks to me like these are the contents of this drop down, and I clicked it. I was thinking they're going to disappear, but then I got a menu instead. So without really having taken in everything that's on this page, I don't know what my suggestion would be, but I'm just not sure how I'm meant to interact with what's on my screen right now. And I guess I might start with how people currently interact and see what that looks like. But I guess I can tap this and find, okay, yeah, so these are tooltips that teach me about each of these. I'm just going to keep going and try to synthesize my thoughts on this in a bit because I'm just not sure. Begin admissions, okay. That's a new CTA. I've got check my insurance and begin admissions, and I wonder if they're the same. Comparison thing. That feels overwhelming to me right now, but I wonder if people use this and how that goes. That's probably a little deeper than I'm going to go today. 90-day promise. We should come back to that. What to expect. Features and amenities. Okay. This is pretty interesting because I've tapped the primary, the glowing CTA on the first page, and I've come here and it's the program, but then it's the programs, and then it's the numerous programs. And then I guess this was actually where I was meant to interact or learn or whatever on the page. So I think just a different way to smush together the info that is contained here. There's got to be a better way. I'm not really a designer, but somebody smart would come up with something. That my assumption is that you see this and you're just not really sure, like, do I need to tap this? Should I tap these? Maybe question driven, like, again, do I need to select a treatment, or is this all part of a single treatment, or will that be decided for me? And I don't know all the terminology either here, so that's a weakness on my part. But outpatient services via telehealth, coronavirus testing. Yeah, I would say this page doesn't really keep the promise of telling me what you offer in a way that I can use, I guess. I'm getting a list of things, but I don't know how they fit together with me. Like, should I be deciding? Should I be checking boxes here to pick the ones I want? I don't know if this helps me make my decision. And I'm a little afraid to tap one of these, but I'm going to try it. So, okay. So, interesting. All these tooltips, veteran assistance services. What else have we got? Therapies. Okay. Without knowing more, I'm going to say that out of all these out of these 5 top level categories, and then each with its, I don't know, like half a dozen subcategories, each with their little entries, can we prioritize? Because again, this page is like what we offer, and the heading is about the program. Can you simplify it for me? Can you paint it as a single path maybe that I'm going to walk? Or if I need to make a decision, can you spell that out really clearly for me? Is it inpatient versus outpatient? Is that all I need to decide right now? Clarifying that feels like a win. And so out of all these, I'm going to guess instances of these little like tooltip messages, it looks like there's probably 30 of them contained within this little interactive element. Can you pull out the 2 or 3 that almost everybody wants to know or needs to know to make a decision, and just give them their own section with no interaction, no taps, no nothing. Just call them out. I still think there could be an opportunity to brand the program if that makes sense, if that actually lines up with how it works. Just give it a name, and a name that highlights and calls out what sets it apart. And then I can be like, oh, the greenhouse freedom plan. That's a terrible name. I'm sorry. But if it has a name, then I'm drawn in to want to learn a little bit more about, oh, well, what is this? This is different from what I saw on the other site, which was just a wall of text. So yeah, I'm rambling a bit, I guess. I'm going to say to compress this information. I mean, it's compressed like in the space it takes up on the screen, but I want to compress it informationally. Like pull out the most important stuff and then put the rest kind of, let me scroll down to learn, for example, that there may be equine activities, for example. Like if that's a question on my mind, it's okay to make me look for it. But out of all this, for example, group therapy is the core, all right? So I've been on the site for a while, and I just now figured that out, and it's from random tapping. I figured out that, okay, if I do this, if I make this choice and this change in my life is about to look like a decent amount of group therapy. So can you give me a little more detail? Make that kind of front and center. Sell me on it. Make me understand that it's necessary and it's going to help, and even maybe show me what it looks like. So that feels like a little bit of a flaky pass at this. I can always do another video if this is not helpful enough, but I think this, for being where I landed after clicking the glowing button on the first page, I want a little more prioritization, a little more like, here's what you need to know, here's what you need to do from this page. So if I do this one again, let's just follow the funnel. I'm just going to follow the rabbit wherever it takes me. The next step is check insurance. And now this has changed if you're not quite ready. Okay. Yeah, again, it disappeared on me, but maybe that's just me because I'm trying to record a video. Anyway, admissions and what to expect. Okay, so I think we have a mismatch here between the call to action and at least the page heading. I tapped check your insurance. Again, not sure that that's something I care to do, but it's something you seem to want me to do, so I decided to try to do it. And now it's like admissions and what to expect. And that seems different. Like this should be like, what is your insurance is what I expected to see here. Okay, so there is a check your insurance option. I wonder if that button could have taken me straight to it. And it looks like, yeah, am I on like a, okay. I'm on the same page. Yeah, maybe when I tap that button, it should have just scrolled me to this. Instantly check your insurance. This is more or less what I expected to see. All right. Quickly and privately check your insurance benefits. That seems important to call out. I think that's well done. Your treatment may be free. All right, calling this out. This is the second time we've addressed the topic of expense. And this is actually really good. And this points to back on the first page with the frequently asked questions. And if I literally scroll down and tap down, I'm like, how much? And you can't tell me. Could you tell me this? Could you give me, I don't know the law, right? But could you say treatment is free for many patients depending on insurance? Check your insurance. Or could you give a range or something like that? So that's a question. This is really good. This is really compelling and very encouraging. Your treatment may be free. Yes, I get that not for everyone, but thanks for letting me know it's possible. That's good. All right. First name, last name, phone number, email. I'm going to start filling this out, and I will probably not submit it because I don't want to junk up the leads inbox. So, all right. It'd be good if I was doing this on an actual phone. I'm going to assume that we get the numerical keyboard to come up on the phone number input. If not, then we should do that. And then the email input. All right. Numerical keyboard. All right, insurance carrier. Let's see how this works. I'm not sure. Is it maybe? Might be. And then membership ID. Okay, this is really cool. Well done. Whoever designed this, seriously, take them out to lunch. This is great. Tells me where to find it. Backing up, I'm not sure, but something to test here, something we could possibly test, is preparing somebody for the fact that they need this. And it might seem obvious, but I don't know that it is. Just to say, check your insurance. You'll need have your insurance card handy, or a copy of your statement or something. Potentially. Like if we tell people that along the way, then when they get here, Are they more likely to succeed? Do we see a lot of people get to this step and then they just leave the site? Might not be a problem, but there might be an opportunity just to warn people that, hey, there's you're going to need some paperwork or you're going to need your card. All right, so that's it. And then it's check coverage is, I think, a good CTA. That's what I'm here to do. That's action-oriented, sure. I wonder what happens next, though, I guess. And I'm still wondering about where this fits into the process. So I assume when I do this, someone's going to follow up with me. And this is kind of jumping ahead to like what to expect on arrival, where I haven't really made that decision yet, right? I've just decided to see if my insurance covers it, which is going to make a big difference on whether I want to do it or not. So I almost feel like this page has a couple different purposes, and it could be a little misleading. If you imagine somebody scrolling around, is this here because I'm ready to check in, or am I running a check? And when I scrolled down from this and saw what to expect, I thought it was going to be, here's what to expect after you check your coverage, but it's not. So yeah, I should probably put in my insurance number to know, but it's okay. We got plenty of stuff to work with here, so I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I think setting expectations for what happens after you check coverage could be beneficial, and I got some thoughts on how we might kind of package that up. Okay, so let me back up and let's talk about the offer here, the actual offer that, like, what can I do on this site? What do you want me to do? What do I want to do? And let's see, not quite ready. Okay, so this is read reviews. And I think that's a good thing to throw out there at this point. If we had an exit intent that we could trust on this kind of device, that would be a decent one for that too. I want to go back. Was it the first page or the second? Let's see. Admissions and what to expect. Where else have I been? Okay. Now I can't remember. I thought I saw a second one here that was about getting more info. And I wanted to look and see what that was about, because that could be potentially one conversion, and I'm just not sure. Is there, would people submit their information just to get a brochure and more details? Might that be actually as much as some people want to do or are ready to commit to in a single session? So almost like a B2B type of website where it's like, download our white paper. It wouldn't be quite that, but would some people, are they nervous about this step, about this transition, on the fence, and where they might just abandon the site? Is there an opportunity to say, hey, we're going to send you this, this guide, this brochure, more info, success plan. You can share it with your family. Potentially, that's a big change. That's creating new content, I assume. If I can't find it, that is. Okay, wait, what? Read reviews. No, okay. I can't find it. I thought I saw something that was just like more info. Maybe I'm thinking about that first page CTA, which is what we offer, which I guess has changed now. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on down here. That's fine. About the program. Wait. Here we go. Okay. What we offer, check insurance. No. All right, I give up. I can't find it. I thought there was like a get more info option, and I was just going to see what that was to see if it's something that could be packaged up so that it is its own conversion. Yeah, okay. So it might not make sense, but there's an idea. There's a suggestion, right? Is there some sort of a softer opt-in that's just, we'll send you information, and that's a whole conversation with the sales team, and it might just be a flat no, sorry, not interested in that. But it's a possibility. The other thing to think about here, I guess, is, again, what am I getting for filling this thing out? I'm checking my insurance. Why am I doing that? Kind of what's in it for me? And especially given that I'm not getting pricing, and I'm not going to get the pricing from the website, I wonder if there's something we could package up and just sort of present as some sort of, more than just contact us, more than reach out, more than check insurance, if there's an offer for like a personalized treatment plan. And this comes back to the fact that it looks like there are multiple programs and a bunch of aspects, and I, as a visitor, still don't know what I'm going to get. Whether everybody gets the same thing, or it's custom to me, or I choose, I'm not sure about that at all. And so overall, the whole site, I wonder if presenting the conversion as opt-in, reach out, take action, and get a personalized recovery plan for you, which might just be an email that's like, hey, your insurance covers this. We think you should do this. Here's what it's going to look like, what it would consist of, how long it would take. Something like that might be a more enticing offer than just, give me your information, check your insurance. So that's a thought. That's something I would test. I don't know the answer, but it doesn't actually have to change the sales process per se. It's just a matter of how we present what you're getting, what you're asking for when you convert on this page. So that is one thought that I had. I guess another thought is this above the fold landing page view, it probably doesn't answer any questions for anybody. It probably doesn't remove any hesitation or obstacles for anybody. And so could we prioritize the biggest questions in the visitor's mind and address one of them, just one of them on this page above the fold? And I don't know what it might be, but some possibilities include the cost thing. Can we say, can we put something above here that just signifies, hey, we accept most insurance? Or that kind of, I know it's a little on the edge, but treatment is free for many of our patients because we accept lots of insurance. Like, is there a way to convey that here? That could be something. The luxury of the facility could be something. Maybe you think people are still kind of nervous, like, is this a dump? Maybe they've been to another facility that was. I've read some reviews. It sounds like there's some real dumps out there. It could be about the professionality of the staff. It could be about some of the specific aspects of the treatment plan. So back to that page where I just really wasn't sure what I was learning about the program or programs. If we pull out those most important things, the ones that people leave reviews about, the ones that they talk about on their way out, the ones that people believe make the difference, could we highlight a couple of those here? And maybe ideally they set this apart too. So that's another possibility. And last, maybe the success rate. I don't know if that's something you can talk about or not, but if so, I would imagine that's something that's on people's minds too, right? Like, how much is this going to cost? What's it going to be like? Why is it better than the one that's down the street? And yeah, is it going to work? And so if there's anything that can be said about people's relapse rate or success of some people that have gone on, it doesn't have to be stats. It could be anecdotal, but above the fold here, that's another possibility for something that might really be compelling, draw people in. So those are some ideas for what we might do here. And again, it might be visual. It'd be good to get something visual above the fold here. So that's another possibility. Kind of went through some possibilities with stuff to test on the image. Talked about the offers, both the customized treatment plan and also just the get info, learn more, we'll send you a brochure offer possibility. Don't know if that really makes sense or not. But speaking just about the CTAs here, I wonder if anybody in the world really wants to check insurance. Like, does anyone actually desire to check insurance really ever? That sounds like a drag. I get that it's necessary, but I wonder if it might be better and more compelling to just position that as a step along the way to something I actually do want. And so I wonder about, and this comes back to maybe the possibility of having this part gone and the buttons just persistent so that they're always there and I know they're there. I wonder if the button could be something like take charge or take control of your life, or that's not exactly it, but something along those lines, or book a stay. I'm not sure if that's quite the right language, but the idea of literally click here because you're ready to come to this facility and receive treatment. Something like that could make sense. And then if you say, okay, hey, do you want to check your insurance? Or let's check your insurance so that we can figure out what this is going to cost. Or let's check your insurance because depending, this might be free or very cheap. Once I've already opted into that, I don't mind. I guess that's okay that you need to know that. That makes sense to me. But relying on me to decide I want to check my insurance seems questionable. Worth trying something else if we can think of something that makes sense. One last kind of idea on the CTAs, and I don't love any of these, but almost something like apply for treatment, I guess. And I don't know, maybe that makes it sound like the bar is too high, but it's very clear about what you're doing. And if you're applying for treatment and you're going to ask for insurance information, that's to be expected too. So I guess in general, I'm wondering about the primary CTA. And because my own experience of clicking this what we offer was not super compelling, I wonder about just having a persistent, always there, whatever it is, whether it's get your treatment plan or book a stay or apply for treatment or learn more, whichever one it is. I wonder if just having that there could be clearer. I actually want to go back to this other one and see what their CTA was, if they even had one. Wow. Yeah, okay, they just have a form. They have contact us. Okay, so, I don't want to rip too hard, I guess, on this site. It's pretty good. It's got a lot going on. Love the sticky footer. Wonder if we could get more people acting on the sticky footer. Wondering if we could make the buttons more compelling on the sticky footer, but the sticky footer is great. We can have a little more continuity from CTA to page heading. We can clarify the program. There's opportunities here, but all in all, this is pretty good, especially compared to what else I've seen around. So that's just about it. The last thing I'll throw out, and this becomes maybe kind of complex, aspirational, and may or may not make sense, but back to the question of, are you looking for help with drug addiction, alcoholism, or both? Are you looking for help for yourself or a loved one? These all, to me, seem like they're actually fairly different concerns and definitely different ways to address the concerns. This one site has to do all those jobs. That's hard. I wonder if there's a possibility, and I don't know if people would interact or not, but if we go back to this, I guess back to the first page. If we go back to here, if it could be optional, we could just have a little section right here or so that asks one of those questions, asks people to self-select. And I guess the more prominent, the more we'd learn from it. I don't know if it would ultimately improve conversions, but it could, where we say, hey, are you looking for help for yourself or a loved one, with two big boxes, and you tap one. And then once you tap one of those buttons, the rest of your site experience can subtly shift. And if you've said a loved one, I'm going to talk to you very differently. And I might even have a different call to action for you, potentially. Whereas if you say it's for me, I'm going to approach that very differently. So that's a possibility. And then likewise, depending on which of those questions we believe has more primacy, the other option would be, hey, looking for help with alcohol, drugs, or both. And then when you tap one of those, we're going to highlight the parts of the program that cater to that are relevant to that. And it's one of those things where, the foot in the door technique, where if you get that first interaction from somebody, they're now more engaged and bought in, and they're going to pay more attention to what comes after. So a prominent, high up on the page, self-select, what are you here for, is something I would at least try, because I'd just be curious to see what the breakdown, what the mix of responses was. So that's not trivial to implement, but just a thought. This page, I'd say, is already miles ahead of at least this one and others that I've seen. So this is all, just extra bonus niceness here. Hope some of that's helpful. Troll me in the comments if it's not, and thank you for watching.